Yeah, I guess. The old judges guy? Is that what they are?
Yeah.
Yeah, I did not. Did you get some keep it up? Just to pick them up on your way here. Wait a couple more minutes. It's not 37. We'll call the meeting to order. The chairman is missing, but please rise to the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You got your mics on?
Yes, yes. That was on, okay. Okay. Not working.
You ready? Roll call.
Yeah.
Rolf Reese,
Here.
Joseph Michaels,
Here.
Keith Johnson, Gary Guglielmetti,
Here.
Mark Lodi.
Here. Okay, you want to start with the minutes? Okay, you want to take a look at the minutes quickly? Yes, it's on. It's on. Oh, it is on. Yes. Here's Keith. Hey, boss. Hold the meeting to order and we just go over the minutes, which are now in the agenda for first on for that's it.
Try to get started.
Yeah, I was just reviewing the minutes. Let's see. Any questions?
Sure. Okay, I make a motion to accept the minutes from the last meeting.
I'll second.
Roll call.
Okay. Board Member Reese,
Yes.
Board Member Lodi,
Yes.
Board Member Michaels,
Yes.
Board Member Guglielmetti,
Yes.
Board Member Johnson.
Yes.
What's that? No. Yeah, the correspondence. You received correspondence? A lot of correspondence we will receive?
Yes, they're all in your folder.
Okay.
You can open the public hearing
Okay.
and read the public notice.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. We will open a public hearing for Castle Mountain Railroad. Area use variance.
You want a second?
I'll second that.
We have some representatives here from
We're
this.
supposed to read this first. Why don't we read that?
Go ahead and read.
Okay, this is the notice that was in the Daily Freeman, date of proof 1/21/16. Notice is hereby given that the Town of Shandaken Zoning Board of Appeals will hold a public hearing pursuant to 274 and/or 276 of the state law and is prescribed in the district schedule of area and bulk regulations of the Shandaken Town Code for the purpose of hearing the following applications. The public hearing is regarding 2 area variance applications and 1 use variance application submitted by the Catskill Mountain Railroad for a parcel located at Station Road, Phoenicia, New York, 12464, indicated as section number 14.13, block number 3, lot number 52, and section number 14.3, block number 3, lot number 29. The public hearing is scheduled for Wednesday, February 17th, 2016, in the Town Hall Building, 7209 Route 28, Shandaken, New York, at 7:30 p.m. Anyone interested in this case is invited to attend this hearing. Communications in writing in relation hereto may be mailed to the board or presented at the hearing. By order of the Town of Shandaken Zoning Board of Appeals, Ann Ricciardella, Building Department, Planning Board, Zoning Board of Appeals. Good. You pronounce your last name right? Okay.
First person is Annick Saylor on the list. Steve.
Thank you. We have a very long list of concerned neighbors along with 33 letters which I brought with me and more that didn't CC me. Supporters have told me they are concerned about a 2.5-acre railroad yard in a residential neighborhood, environmental hazards of storing toxic solvents and decaying trains, flaking, lead paint, and other dangerous substances into the soil, water, and air.
Excuse me, 1 second. Joe, can you sit down? You need to sit down. Okay. No problem. Yep. Joe, Joe Michaels has recused himself because he is involved with Catskill Mountain Railroad, so he will be seating with you out there during the proceedings.
Thank you. Industrial work done at the epicenter of Hurricane Irene that tipped trains over toward tracks out of the ground. Mechanical work on large diesel and coal-fired engines in the Esopus floodplain, a main tributary to the Ashokan Reservoir. Untrained volunteers doing industrial work with lead and other toxic substances, oil runoff, damage to neighborhood character, the eyesore of broken down trains and equipment in the area entering town, an oversized 40 by 200 foot building out of character with the houses surrounding it, property use change in our hamlet threatening tourist-based income, visitors who come for pristine rivers, mountains, and small hamlet charm, greatly reduced property values of the surrounding neighborhood. The expectation to buy a residential property, hoping to turn it into industrial use, is not allowed. The Catskill Mountain Railroad is not a unique historic railroad restoration organization. Others are doing work nearby, plus in the Berkshires, Rochester, Long Island, Buffalo, Whippany, New Jersey, Baltimore, Maryland, Strasburg, Pennsylvania, throughout the country to California and Washington. Others are doing restoration in peace and compliance with their communities without risk to the environment and neighborhood. Antique railroad car restoration is a good thing to do. This is just not a good place to do it. With the risk of decrepit trains, toxic substances, and industrial use restoration facilities so near the Esopus, the impact on our community and the stream. For all of these reasons, we ask you please to vote no on these variances. And I have photographs of some of the trains that are there now. We don't know what else will happen there. And these are the 33 letters. And there are probably more from people who did not see me. We have a list of almost 50 supporters who are concerned about all of these. This is the sheet. And this is the oil tank that came in a week or two ago. You can see the seams. Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I have a question. These cars that you have pictures of, are they part of the Railroad Museum cars, or are these part of the CMC?
They were on the tracks. They weren't the
Yeah,
museum.
but do you know who they belong to?
Yeah, the Catskill Mountain Railroad.
Are you sure?
No,
They're on the tracks there,
I don't think.
not behind the
I
museum.
don't
They're on our cars.
But I don't believe these are part of the, I think these are part of the museum. I don't think they're part of the,
Most of them are the museum, yes. There are two baggage cars, there's a caboose. They belong to the museum.
so these pictures basically have anything to do.
They're destined to go into the car barn that we built last year.
Well, they're on the tracks on the station
I
road.
realize that, but there's two separate entities, the Railroad Museum and the Catskill Mountain Railroad are two different entities. So they're being beat up for something that doesn't, in this particular case, even though you may not like the looks of them, they're not part of the railroad,
Well, whose property were they on?
the museum.
On Station Road towards
Yes.
Bridge Street?
I believe so. I mean,
They get shifted around a little bit because we're working on the tracks in the building. And some of them are on the main line, some of them are on the museums.
we just have some, so that everybody knows.
Yes. Dayton Morehouse, the Empire State Railroad Museum president. Most of them are usually on our side rail, which is museum property. But while we're shifting things to put that track into the new car barn, some of them have been moved over to the main running line. Of course, that can't be in the summers because they use it.
Right.
How many cars are involved in?
That are the museums,
Yes.
4, maybe 5.
Okay, and those are all scheduled for repair?
Yes, yeah. 2 of them are scheduled to be the first 2 going into the car barn. And we kind of got sidelined by this moving out of things.
You look at these and say if these are museum cars or museum, both of these are museum. Yes, these are 2 baggage cars. The one that's covered is destined for restoration. This one, we're not quite sure. We're thinking of, we have plans for that to be covered with roofing. And this one is the museum's, and a wooden caboose is ours. And there may be another.
But whose property are they on now? They're on the tracks by Station Road.
At this very moment, half on our siding and half on the main line. Temporarily.
In this fuel containment picture that you have, the tank.
It's gone.
Yes, but also that's supposed to be. It's supposed to be acceptable. That's what they call spill containment storage. Excuse me.
I can answer that. That was a bikini fuel tank. It has spill containment, and it's been in our yard since the flood. We don't use bikini anymore, so we moved it up so that they could remove it this past week.
So it's now removed from the
Yes.
yard?
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, what I would also submit is we don't store bulk fuel.
He's recused.
Pardon? I can speak as an expert on the subject and as engineer of record. Now,
That's correct.
we do not store bulk fuel. When we get fuel for the locomotives, we receive it as a delivery with a tank truck. Same as home fuel oil is delivered, except it's off-road diesel. So we don't have bulk fuel storage on the premises.
Someone else?
Arlo, Devlin, Brown.
Yeah, hi there. My name is Arlo Devlin Brown, and I did submit a letter, and I'm not going to go over everything in that letter, but I did want to just make a couple of points from my perspective. I mean, to give you a little background, we fell in love with Phoenicia a few years ago. We bought a house, 77 High Street, from the Fleigels, who I think also submitted a letter. They couldn't be here tonight, and they own the neighboring property. And we, from New York City, so we wanted a tranquil residential environment. And we knew, of course, that the Railroad Museum was across the street, and we love the museum. It is a great place, a lot of great history there. We're not as big fans of the barn that went up there. I do think that's a bit out of character, but no big deal. We love the museum. Our kids love the museum. But we would move next to a museum. We didn't intend to move next to an industrial area where work is going to be done on railroad cars for a commercial outfit that hasn't been done there since they bought the residential property in 1984. And so I think, I support the work of the railroad, but I just don't think this is a good place for them to do it, and I don't think it meets the zoning criteria as I outlined in my letter. There's one other point I didn't make in my letter, but I think it is worth considering from the zoning board's perspective. It seems, I don't follow this stuff closely, but it seems that the railroad is in a rather precarious situation at this time with its lease subject to renewal by Ulster County, which may or may not grant that lease. It has litigation, I believe, with Kingston regarding removal of railway cars, and I think litigation perhaps with Ulster County as well. And again, I think the leadership of the railroad has said recently that if they don't get that lease, they may just have to sell their shares. I think that's a really bad time to consider granting a variance, because what that could mean is that stuff gets moved out of Kingston, maybe things don't go well for the railroad, they don't get their lease. Now you have some other company that may own that property that's not really connected to the community here, or you could have an insolvency situation where good luck trying to get anything off that property in bankruptcy court years from now. So it seems like I don't think it should be granted, period, but if the board were to seriously consider this, I would think it would make sense first to see in a month or two what Ulster County does in terms of renewing the railroad's lease and its future. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Gentlemen, I've been asked, Rod Futterfast, Kingston, New York. I've been asked to represent Nick Taylor and other people who are opposed to this application. So with your permission, I'd like to hear the presentation of the railroad in support of the application before I make my comments. Is that satisfactory? Thank you.
Is there anyone else who wants to speak?
I'd like to speak, but I could wait till after the railroad presents. Good evening, everybody. My name is Harry Jimson. I'm chairman of the Catskill Mountain Railroad. First thing I'd like to do is offer clarification, and obviously right off the bat, there's a big confusion factor between what equipment is actually Catskill Mountain Railroad and what equipment is in fact ESRN. It's always been a problem. People look at the museum, they see railroad, they look at the railroad, they see the museum. As Anita did, she supplied me with all the pictures of the Empire State Railroad Museum equipment. That's not Catskill Mountain Railroad equipment. Next thing I'd like to address is, in fact, there's been rumors that we're going to take over equipment from Kingston and move it up to Phoenicia. We have absolutely no plans of doing that. We have a full train set in Kingston, and that's where it's going to stay. We are going to have to move some of the museum's equipment. The museum owns a steam locomotive, which was purchased in 1985. 86, you know, and has been basically stuck in Kingston ever since. So that one piece of equipment has been requested by the city of Kingston to be removed from the Cornell Street Yard. That and the associated flue pipes, firebox, and all the stuff that goes with it will be coming to Phoenicia. Now, I also have a piece of editorial that was in the Kingston Times this past week. Kingston Mayor fined with pace of railroad yard cleanup. We've been doing our best to make the city of Kingston happy. And at this point, we are pretty close to ending all litigation. There was a TRO against bringing equipment into the yard, and there was also basically a zoning violation, which was issued for operating the railroad yard without proper permits. Now, I could mention that in 2008, we needed to expand the size of that Kingston yard because we had more equipment coming in. So we went to the Kingston Building Department and got a building permit to relocate fence to make the yard bigger. And we were granted that permit. And we were also granted a CO, Certificate of Occupancy, upon the completion of that project, to be turned around a number of years later and slapped with a zoning violation saying that we're operating illegally. The equipment that we have in Phoenicia right now is pretty extensive. We have 4 locomotives, we have 3 coaches, 3 flat cars, 2 cabooses, one side dump and one boxcar. It's quite a bit of equipment. And as Mr. Schroeder has pointed out, we are getting ready to lose our lease. We have owned this property since 1984, and we would like to put some track on it so that we can store our equipment. In the situation that we don't get a renewal, and or in the interim, well, we put it up for sale. The maintenance shop. We have long dreamt of having a maintenance shop. It is part of this site plan, because if we do get a lease, then